so we're supposed to listen to him. Supposed to. That's the key word. All right, here we go.
Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on Real Talk with Keith Smith. It's an absolute pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille Network on a show presented by Yes Realty Partners, a name you can trust in real estate, a name that's been in the game since 1987. Yes Realty Partners, a firm created by Keith and Yonna Smith, who are easily accessible and always looking forward to connecting with you in this buying and selling process we call real estate. Today's program is a good one. Judah Wickhauer is behind the camera. He's the director and the producer, and we have a full panel on set today. Jimmy Eavers is in the house. He is a known commodity in real estate, the general sales manager at Stanley Martin Homes. Gunnar Cook is in the house, the neighborhood sales manager at Stanley Martin Homes. And if you want some insight on what's happening new construction-wise in Charlottesville, in Albemarle, in Central Virginia, in the Shenandoah Valley. Heck, Stanley Martin's footprint is extremely large. These guys have the barometer or the benchmark for new construction at Stanley Martin. We encourage you, the viewer and listener, to join us in the conversation, shape the show, offer some perspective, like the show. I will relay your comments live on air today. Judah Wickhauer is behind the camera. My friend, if you can go to the studio camera, and then welcome our star, the distinguished, the dapper Keith Smith, my friend.
Wow. I always have to follow that up with something witty, but generally.
When he said star, you looked back, and I was like, I'm pretty sure you're talking about.
I was
absolutely. Okay.
I like Gunnar.
Well, so there goes my intro.
There you go.
He's funny.
Come on, man.
Right out the window. You mentioned he was witty.
I told you. I gave you a heads up.
Yeah. Well, I need to look in the dictionary what that actually meant. Apparently, it's his picture in the dictionary. Look,
Can I highlight something about Gunnar Cook over here? The guy at one time.
Since when did I have any control over this?
This is an RE Lee graduate. This is a Liberty graduate. This is a JMU MBA.
Yeah. So.
One more thing? I'm going to brag on you here.
Right.
This guy has the 3-point shots made for a single game record at RE Lee. Perhaps it's still standing, and the all-time 3-pointers made in a career at RE Lee.
If it's still standing.
If it's still standing.
What's that? RE Lee or the?
It was, yeah. So graduated 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So played for Jared Hatcher over there and had some good seasons for sure. So a program with a lot of storied history. He was talking about at UVA, he covered some of those really good teams.
Yeah.
So I was a bit intimidated about this panel, to be honest with you, and I don't intimidate too easily. But for a gentleman in the city that has an MBA, that means something, right? And you got that from JMU, right?
I did, yeah. So what do they say? Bleed purple, live gold, or something like that. I should know after that, but yeah, something like that.
Well, I've invested in JMU's growth over the years with our youngest daughter. But anyway, let me do my intro, and then we'll do your intro, and we'll kind of get back on schedule a little bit here, or not. It's okay. This month I've been focusing on new construction. For those who don't know my background, I've been in the business forever. I'm a recovering developer and builder, so new construction kind of runs in my veins for the last 40 years. So I'm excited about this conversation. When we get into a little bit longer, deeper into the conversation, I really want to pick Greene County apart because we've been predicting this for a while, and it's starting to actually happen. That Greene County is pretty much the rock star in new construction as far as number of units and so forth and so on. But I'm excited about this. I'm going to do a little thank you out to you guys. I'm going to put my hat on as the chair of the Piedmont Community Land Trust. You guys helped us with 3 units at Colonial Circle. You showed up. You guys made it happen. These are extremely complicated transactions that get across. You stuck with us side by side. So I just wanted to publicly say thank you to you guys, and particularly you, because I know you were in the back kind of steering this and making sure that this was happening. So I just wanted to look at you and thank you for doing that.
Yeah, we appreciate your partnership for sure. We wouldn't have been able to do it without you, obviously.
Well, that's what I was looking for you to say.
Yeah, you guys working with us side by side is kind of what made it successful. So,
Why don't we take an opportunity and have Jimmy and Gunnar introduce themselves to the viewers and listeners that are watching the show. Jimmy, you got a lot of people watching. The show is yours.
yeah, I think you did a great intro for us both, but I'll take it from there. I'm Jimmy Eavers, General Sales Manager for Stanley Martin in Charlottesville. I grew up in the Waynesboro area, actually, so I'm local to the Charlottesville, Harrisonburg, Waynesboro area. Been in real estate for the past 5 years. Been in sales for a long time, 7 to 8 years, as of this year. Our goal at Stanley Martin, obviously, and Gunnar and I's goal, and everybody on our team and at Stanley Martin, is just to provide a well-built house at a price that the general public can afford. That has a good mindset about their purchase, right? So that's what we look forward to doing every day. That's what we're passionate about, and that's ultimately why we're here to talk through real estate and Stanley Martin and all the good stuff about Charlottesville.
Gunnar, my
Yeah,
friend.
so I'm Stanton, born and raised. Actually live out in, my parents live in Swope, Virginia, but Stanton area. So have a lot of affinity for Stanton. I think that's one of the best towns in Virginia, Charlottesville as well. Might kind of steal do a I Love Stanton thing if I ever get around to it. But like he said, some of our builds, we're talking about, hey, this is a great investment, and that really is what it is. And when I talk to people that are my age, it's an investment. Certain things aren't meant to be your dream home. This is a stepping stone. So when people come to us looking for information, oftentimes they get a lot of affirmation of, hey, this is a good choice. And sometimes it isn't, sometimes it is, a lot of times it is. And that's our job to kind of help people decipher that when they come see us.
Yep, absolutely.
So Stanton, just as these things usually go, was on my radar yesterday. I'm helping a couple of young first-time home buyers in this $250,000 to $300,000 range, and that's where the market is, right? Unfortunately, if they're working in Charlottesville, it's a bit of a drive to go over there. But Stanton's a cool little town, right? It's got a really awesome downtown vibe, and is kind of making a shift a little bit. And you're starting to see, the Stanley Martins and the builders starting to grow there. I know I wanted to talk a little bit about Greene County, but since you brought up Stanton, so that's kind of your back door. Tell me what's going on in Stanton and how you see the market moving there.
I think you nailed the price point, and a lot of that has to do with what are the monthly payments right now. And I think for a lot of people, that makes a whole lot of sense. And I'm a big proponent of, hey, if you can stay under budget, do it. So I think that's a good way of, hey, take that extra money, put it in the 401k, do all that stuff, and see this as an investment as well. If they're looking in that 250, 300 range, potentially would be a great rental, build equity. But yeah, that Stanton market is kind of, we've talked about if we ever went over there, or if and when we do, I think it would do really, really well with the valley.
That whole corridor is exploding. That whole Waynesboro through Stanton to Harrisonburg. I know we want to talk the car footprint, but you're going to start seeing a lot of growth if you already see it happening.
Manufacturing, like Storch Draft, Virginia, that Waynesboro, Stanton area, like all the jobs that are provided there, like Northrop Grumman is moving over there. So when you have that, you've got people looking for homes that can afford the homes. And like he said, we're trying to build homes that people like and can afford.
Well, I like the approach. Most people buy homes by the monthly payment, not necessarily by that. I'll tell you a little thing about quick before we pivot on that side of the hill. The buyer profile is me, so I'm the boomer at the table, guys. So I'm the old dude, but you're starting to see that grow a little bit there because the intersection of 64 and 81 and some of the medical availabilities down there to go and do this. So what do we got going on in our local region? What does the local real estate agents, what does the local market need to know what Stanley Martin's got cooking right now?
Yeah, I think it just needs to know kind of what's already out there, right? Our neighborhoods that are currently out selling, what we're focused on, and we've touched on that a little bit already. But, as far as we are concerned at Charlottesville and Stanley Martin, we are trying to hit the nail on the head with what we currently have going. So that's, our neighborhoods in Crozet, our neighborhoods out in Greene County that you were going to touch on, neighborhood out in Fluvanna County, and then like any other builder, we're just looking for land wherever, whenever. And I think that's the hot commodity right now, right, is land.
Well, one of the things of what Stanley Martin does better than most is the fact that you do both sides of the house, right? You do the acquisition and development, and then you do the building.
Yeah.
Most national builders don't do that.
Yeah, they
right?
outsource it.
They outsource that. So talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I mean, that separates us a lot, right? When we talk about competitive advantage between builders, that's one major thing we have control over when we go in to develop our neighborhoods. When a builder, there's nothing wrong with outsourcing, obviously, but when you outsource it, you have less control over costs, less control over, say, what goes into the neighborhood. And it could create a layover, and kind of what we've been seeing in some other neighborhoods of different phases and sections. So for us to be able to control the cost, the narrative on the land side, to be able to have that direct input, and then also not have any layover for our next phase, right? To be able to offer those homes at a great value to our customers consistently over the board, right? That's one thing that definitely sets us apart.
So back in the prehistoric ages when I was doing development and building, that's what I did. I created my lot inventory, and then we built very different product type and different era at the time to go ahead and do that. But, the beautiful thing about what you guys do from a corporate perspective is you get to control your inventory, and lot inventory is what makes the difference.
Crucial, yeah.
Gonna talk to me a little bit about Pleasant Green and what you're doing in Crozet. That's a pretty hot market, and tell me how that process is going and how you guys are doing over there.
Yeah, so Crozet is definitely a lifestyle. When you can walk everywhere, I enjoy walking over through Old Trail to downtown after work when the weather's a little better. But yeah, that's more of our core product. And then some of our Fluvanna County community and our Greene County community is our Essence line. What that is you've got the fingerprint of a great builder, but kind of that price point in mind. So I'm selling more of our core product. We have one single family left. So if you're listening and want a single family, comment below or whatever. We got one to go.
Schedule showing.
But Crozet really
Call
is that
me,
lifestyle.
and I'll be more than happy.
There you go.
Jeez.
We're plugging here. We're plugging.
Yeah, so we've got kind of a variety for everyone across our three communities, not only geographically, but as far as the products that we offer.
Yeah.
So all kidding aside, call the trusted advisor, your real estate agent that you prefer to work with, and get on it. I've personally sold 3 or 4 units in Pleasant Green, so it's a great little community.
He's got Taylor Monk Fufix giving him props. Jacob Puffenbarger giving him props. GW, is it Lassie?
Yeah, so that was my high school baseball coach.
Giving you some props
Yeah.
right now.
So-
Matt Neese, who's in the game, is giving
Yep.
some props. We got brokers and agents watching from, let's see, Real Estate 3, from Yes Realty Partners, from Nest watching the program, from Logan Foster. We got brokers and agents at Loring Woodruff watching the program right now. We got folks at Howard Hanna watching the program right now. The feed is popping right now, gentlemen. I'd love to highlight what is next, or give us the transition of what happens when you close out or sell out a community. What happens next?
Yeah, I'll touch on that. Really, we are always looking for the next project, right? I kind of touched on that earlier, where land's a hot commodity right now, and every builder's searching for land. Previous to us closing out, we're really focused on, one, the main goal is closing that neighborhood out, offering those affordable floor plans, making sure that before we exit the community, we do all of our due diligence. We come back through, make sure all the amenities are top tier, the roads, et cetera, are top tier. While we're looking for that next piece of land. But as we close out, we're focused on, where do we go next? I think that's the obvious question. Part of my job in that is where does our staff go, right? And part of that is just keeping in tandem with our land team, our management team, making sure that we have the land coming up to make sure that our staff can go to that next opportunity so that we can continue offering and building what we're building here in Charlottesville. I don't know if you have anything to add to that from your perspective on the sales floor as like actual closeout, what we look for.
No, as we close out, we continue, we've got that core product, and like I said, we kind of offer the gamut for everybody.
Yep.
So I think when we do close out something of, okay, what box haven't we checked that maybe there's a buyer for? And maybe that's we step it up a notch and they're higher level finishes, or hey, you know, our price per square foot, we need to be more cognizant of that.
Yeah.
So I think at a high level, I haven't been in all those meetings. I'm at the meetings with him is about as high as I go. But yeah, I think that's something that we take into consideration.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, seeing what worked and what didn't work and trying to make that better for Stanley Martin, but also trying to portray that to the end user as well, the purchaser, the buyers, the agents. We work really close with the agents, and we take a lot of feedback from our close agent partners of, you know, this is what worked well in our current neighborhoods that we're working to close out. What are your, you know, customers, what are your clients saying that were good about it? What do you think we can improve on? And we are really taking that feedback and applying it to whatever our next project is, right? And like Gunnar alluded to, we tried to diversify our products so that we can offer, you know, our Essence line, which is a very straightforward, simple process. It's a new home that's very affordable, all the way up to our core products that we look to that are more so Pleasant Green and some other projects that we have coming out in the area in the next year. So,
and I would say Jimmy's great about, you know, we have our one-on-one meetings every week, and we have a Lennox model, which is 1,700 square feet, but a 16-foot wide product. Mm-hmm. Well, the cabinets in that, they're ones that are a little darker. On a day like today, doesn't show very well. We've got lighter cabinets that kind of open up the space. So we fall in like with stuff. I don't think we ever fall in love with any of our designs. That way it's a little easier to move off stuff that doesn't work.
yeah.
So in my time here, that's something that I like that we do of, hey, I like it, I don't love it. If people feel the same way, let's do something different.
Yeah.
So I did my 2025 analysis of the market versus 2024, and my catch line for the 2025 is the market went where the inventory was, right? And we're talking about two jurisdictions right now, or two locations, the Greene County and Fluvanna, which happens to be my home county since 1987. But back on the Colonial Circle, I just took a look at it. You guys are at roughly 88 units, right? I think you have about 200 cap over there. So you're you're pretty close to your 50% mark and closeout. So I think at your pace that you're going right now, you know, you're getting close to closeout and all that stuff. So, by the way, I just took a look at what your median sales price over there is. It's 316. So back to your essence and back to you seeing the market and hitting it and going ahead and tackling meeting the market where the market is was very commendable on that. Talk about process, right?
Yeah.
I'm a real estate agent, and I've got a client that's interested, let's say, in the Essence product of Colonial or in Greene County at Creekside. Tell me how that process works.
Yeah, the process really just starts from, you know, on the agent side, the MLS, right? Making sure, you know, that we're visible in MLS. But as far as actual process coming in through the door, you know, we have our on-site sales managers like Gunnar here. We've got a whole team full of rock stars in Charlottesville. So getting in contact with those sales managers first, either through, you know, the model coming in person, you know, giving us a call, or we do have an awesome online sales team as well that will help field any questions, help get the agent or the customer comfortable coming in the door, help answer some, you know, preliminary questions before they even get there to make sure this is a really good fit, right? The one thing that we're conscious about, and our whole team, and Gunnar can attest to this, is we want to make good use of both of our times, both the agent, the client, the customer, and Stanley Martin. So doing that due diligence before they come in is a big part of our process. But setting that initial meeting up with one of our neighborhood sales managers is going to be key. The neighborhood sales managers really hold all of the details to each individual in our neighborhood. You know, Gunnar knows way more than I do about what's going on in Pleasant
He says
Green.
that regularly, by the way.
He should. I come into him all the time. Not in front of me, yeah. I know he says it. That's all.
Just saying.
Keep that on the down low.
Yeah. But that's really, you know, that's really our whole
Nobody's watching. It's okay.
No, that's all right. We're acting like nobody's watching. So, but really, that's our whole team, right? That's how we empower, you know, our neighborhood sales managers to take that and run with it, right? So getting in contact with them, getting some information, scheduling a time and appointment to come in. And really that conversation, you know, makes it human. We want to understand what you're looking for so we can have things prepped before you enter the door, right? So that when you come through the door, we kind of already know what you're looking for, what you've been through. You know, if you missed out on a couple of resales due to, you know, failed inspections or got outbid or whatever it may be, you know, we want to help, you know, align that with what we have in current inventory. From there, really the neighborhood sales managers take it. What I'm focused on and what the team now is focused on, what they always have been. But one thing we've been hitting big on is just really figuring out the human behind that person coming through the door, right?
Good answer.
We want to humanize the experience. It's not just a transaction for us, right? And that's true. We preach that in our sales meetings every Monday.
Well, I can speak to that personally, right?
Yep.
We had a land trust, back to the land trust
Yeah.
transaction. These are extremely complicated, and you guys hung in to make sure that the client got what they wanted. So
Yeah, and that's always the main focus, right? And we are a business and we have to operate like a business, and we want to be in tune with the customer all the time, and sometimes unfortunately that doesn't happen, but we do what we can where we can, right? Especially with our valued partners here. But taking that in, and then just really communicating with the neighborhood sales managers, letting them kind of sort through and help you through the process of what does it look like to buy a home, right? And for us, we have a lot of move-in ready inventory. In some neighborhoods, we're also, a couple months out to build from ground up. So sorting through those details, and really just giving the full picture of what the customer wants and what we offer there, and trying to connect those dots. And I'm sure you have much more detail being on the sales floor than that, but
Yeah, so when people come in, it's really, you're finding out why they're moving. That's most important. Then it's, what space do you need? What are you coming from? Maybe a lot of people, they're looking for more space. Some people, it's less space. So you ask some good questions, hopefully get some good answers. And like he said, when you come out, we're not trying to go through every single thing that we have. We're trying to go through every single thing that we have that makes sense for you. And that's going to be different for everybody. So you start with some good questions, kind of come up with a game plan, execute that. That way you don't kind of get fatigue of me dumping numbers, and it's more of, hey, you have to decipher between these three.
I'm going to get into that
Yeah.
size and square footage thing. I'm going to see if Jerry has.
Yeah, comments are coming in quickly. Caitlin Mancini is watching the program. She's in the game. She's a realtor. She says, I built with Stanley Martin and have it as a rental now. My tenants absolutely love the home. Comments continue to come in all over the feed. We'll highlight some of the viewers and listeners and get to some more of the comments. Kathy Everett Ballou, who's a realtor with Nest Realty Shenandoah Valley, is watching the program, loving the show right now. Is it John Mark Glito? Hope I'm not messing up his last name, is giving props to the show. This is an interesting one that's come in. Can the panel put into perspective Stanley Martin's footprint? It's pretty impressive how big this company is.
Yeah, we span really the East Coast right now, right? We're from Maryland all the way down into Florida. Like I said, I touched on it earlier. We're always focused on buying land where we can, when we can. But our footprint is expansive, and from what we're hearing, it's just going to continue to expand. We are a growing company. I think that's obvious in our region, the Richmond region, which we are also like a brother sister to. But the company as a whole. So going basically the whole East Coast, we span from Maryland all the way down to like the tip of Florida right now.
So that's interesting. I saw an ad, a Facebook ad. You guys are looking for a land acquisition person down in Florida, and I'm thinking, I don't like the cold. I'm of a certain age.
Hey, there you go.
Right? I'm pretty good at finding land. It's like, And my wife said, no.
No, she shot it down.
Jerry and I were talking about that before the show.
How old I was?
I'm going to no. I'm going to spring training with my dad in March, and we were
cool.
talking about we're in Tampa now, and I said the same thing on days like today. You're like, man, if I had shorts on and some palm trees, my mood would be up here, and it's
Yeah,
pretty
but
good
it'll
today
flip
with you guys.
around
Yeah,
August.
yeah.
It will.
It
July,
will.
August, right?
It will,
That'll
yeah.
flip. So I want to dive in, particularly on what you're seeing coming into the centers, your sales centers, right? What are clients looking for right now, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit, some numbers about Greene County, about size of homes, but from your perspective, what are buyers most interested in, other than price, at this point?
And if I could dovetail into this comment's come in from Richmond. Love the show, guys. It seems like the homes that are trading the quickest on the resale market have first floor masters.
There you go.
Can you talk to that? I'll pivot the word master to primary and then dovetail into what Keith Smith has to say of what the marketplace is looking for when they meet you at a house, at a model home.
Yeah, I'll go to my first 2 months with Stanley Martin. I was actually in Colonial Circle in Fluvanna. So we have a Hinsdale model that's about 1,500 square feet, but it's one floor, it's a ranch. And that checks the box for so many people, and it doesn't matter the age, it's just a convenience thing.
It's interesting you should say, I
Yeah.
interrupt you for that, but the buyer profile is two things.
Yeah.
It's me, and it's the Gen Z. The Gen Z wants this one level, smaller square footage. I'll let you finish.
And it's just the overall flow. There's something it's not tangible, but it's just a feeling when you walk in a home of this feels really segmented. And that's a model that I think Stanley Martin knocked out of the park as far as the flow goes. So when people, it's the model, it's the first thing you see, it's decorated, you fall in love with it. But the flow was great. It's got that first floor primary. So I think that is a significant one that you see.
So Greene County, just to talk about size, because it matters. I'll leave that later.
Keith Smith, no one wanted to touch that joke.
Jumps into that one. Just threw it out there. We'll see if anybody was willing to jump on it. Oh, well.
That was a dad joke there,
That
Keith
was
Smith.
totally a
It's
dad joke. I've been watching, what is that commercial where the buyers becoming their dads? It's a State Farm.
Oh,
progressive?
yeah.
I think it is progressive. These gentlemen are smart. They got nearly 24 Stanley Martin team members watching the program
And I'm
right now. I
trying.
have a feeling some are on the vertical ladder here of
right, well,
professionalism.
Just forget about we went there. We'll go something different.
You can comment. We'll
So
see.
2020, just so this knows, in 2025, right, the existing square footage of a home purchase was 2,248. That's the average size. And new construction was 1948. This is in Greene County. And so far, year to date, as of yesterday, that's pretty much holding. You're about 2,254 square foot and existing about 1,765. So people are buying new construction. Oh, by the way, they're more expensive, right?
Yep.
They're buying new construction that's a little bit smaller and a little bit more expensive because why? Gunther.
I think we utilize space as well. And this is going to be a small thing, but it makes a lot of sense. And if you ever come look at a townhouse, I'm going to point it out. And if I don't, remind me of under the steps, like most closets are like a straight down stop. We utilize the space all the way down the steps for storage. So that's small, but hey, if we've got this to work with, like I talked about flow, that has a lot to do with the thought that goes behind how do you use the space. If I'm living in the space, what actually makes sense for most people? It's not going to make sense for all people. But I think those higher level meetings that I've never been in, I imagine that's how they think because that's how I think.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, so I think that makes a lot of sense. So we do utilize space really well, and I think we talked about the Hinsdale. If you walk in that model, it's 1,500 square feet. It doesn't feel like that.
So from a practitioner's perspective, you're spot on, right?
Yeah.
So usually the older homes and even like the McMansions in the 90s and the 80s, it was all about size, right? Square footage, square footage. Now it's more about what can I get? What is more efficient on it? And in a new construction environment, right? You've got, earthcraft. You've got all these green features that are now in your home. So your home is more efficient, functions well, and looks a little bit like what century are we in? The 21st century? 22nd?
22nd.
Are we 22nd? I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to the future.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever
22nd.
century-
That's what we're shooting for.
2026.
Whatever century we're in,
Yeah.
it's about kind of living forward into it. So you guys you're hitting it right, and people are prepared to pay that extra money.
Yeah, I think you hit it right. It's the energy efficiency that you might not get with a resale home. So like in Greene County or Fluvanna, it's very prevalent that most of the market is either new construction or resale, but the resale is aged, right? So you get homes that are built in 1980s and 70s or 90s at that. That were built by, unknown builders, just somebody that, had a license that came in that knows how to construct homes, that's been doing it for a while. And those homes are, solidly built, but they don't have the same energy efficiency or green characteristics that our homes do, right? Difference in insulation, difference in build process, right? They stick built at that time. Where some of our builds are done on site, but some of them are prefab before then, right?
Well, that's what you're doing, and what the building codes have migrated to
as well.
over these years, right? You guys always been a little bit ahead of the curve, and I apologize, it's Gunner. I mispronounced your name earlier, so my apologies.
No, you're good.
but that's also part of the changes. And to your point, as one who's built 600 back in the 80s and the 90s and all that stuff, I can testify to that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, again, kudos to Stanley Martin. They are forward thinking in that. They're ever evolving, those characteristics of green energy efficiency, trying to make the home as efficient as possible. But also, I think we touched on this a couple of times, just meeting the market where it's at, right? Like, we don't need to build 6,000 square foot houses anymore because that's not what the market's calling for. Those are less energy efficient at the end of the day. A lot of people are budget conscious, monthly payment wise, and also out of pocket, right? Down payments nowadays, those have, went up 3.5%, 5, 10, 20% of a purchase price. That's a lot for a first time home buyer. They're not going to be able to afford that right off the rip. They're going to have to buy a townhome or a starter home and migrate to that. So all of those kind of come to a head when we talk about why individuals are looking for new construction, right? It's the value you get for the price you pay based on the resale that you're looking at that's across town, that's same or similarly priced, but not as energy efficient, that you'd have to spend more money on to renovate, more money out of pocket, where you could just move into a new construction home and it's turnkey, hands clean.
Go ahead.
That and what Jimmy was talking about as far as that out of pocket, saving up for a down payment is impressive enough and something to be proud of. But these resales, obviously you do your due diligence as far as inspections, but you never know when you're going to have to come out of pocket for other things. And hopefully with us, and I know with us, you've got some peace of mind of, hey, we made the down payment, enjoy the home. It's going to be some time before you have to put any money into it. Obviously we have warranties, but with having something new, you've saved up, pat yourself on the back. Being a homeowner is something to be proud of.
This is literally the conversation I'm having with these two first-time home buyers, that if you find something in the market that's at the price point that they want to be at, it's going to need a lot of work, right, at some point, versus if we can find something that at new construction at that price point or a little bit higher than they're willing to go to on that price point, is that you're buying everything new, brand new HVAC system, brand new refrigerators and appliances. Talk about incentives. What do we got floating out there for incentives right now?
Yeah, I mean, incentives, really every builder has incentives that go into it. I think for us, it's really how you use it, right? And really how you market it. We, again, kind of where we price our homes and what we look at in the market, we meet the market is where it's at with incentives as well, right? So we take a look at what is our purchase price? What is our average purchase price? What has it been? What type of buyer profile are we getting through our doors? What are there qualifications behind the scenes, right? We don't know the ins and outs, but we have an idea of having those discussions on the sales floor of how much money are you comfortable with spending on this home, right, out of pocket? How much do you have? Is your family giving you a gift? That kind of thing. We really take that into key, and that's how we form our incentives, right? A lot of incentives that you'll see nowadays just across the industry are, rate buy down incentives. Monthly payments are a big key right now, and it's a big marketing tool. So getting in as low as rate is a big incentive, that we're focused on. Plugging our lender here, First Heritage Mortgage, they're a great partner. They allow us to do that. We work in tandem with them, and they give us all the resources that we need to do to be able to market that along with, our whole corporate team. But I guess same sentiment that I just covered, like we're meeting the market where they are at with incentives. They fluctuate, to be frank with you, from month to month. Depending on the market. The market's hot, we kind of shift. The market's a little slower, we shift in that regard too.
So talk about buy downs. How's that working for you guys?
Yeah, buy downs, for first time home buyers, they've been really exciting, I guess is the best word for it. For the first time home buyer, they walk into the door and they think, oh, this is really out of reach, right? $2,500 a month versus $2,000 a month that I'm paying for rent right now. That's a huge gap.
Sure.
That buy down really helps close that gap.
Yeah.
And they can use some of our incentives that are available to help, purchase that buy down, to help close that monthly payment gap.
So the process is we have a incentive of some sort, right?
Exactly,
And
to
then
use and utilize.
You get to use that with Heritage to say, okay, I'm going to use X amount of dollars to prepay, because that's how this works.
Yep.
To buy down a rate from whatever low 6 to potentially high 5s or whatever it turns out. And that hopefully closes the gap a little bit.
Exactly.
And it definitely does in the mind of a buyer. If you're thinking about rent and say the rent just slightly cheaper, which oftentimes we're seeing is really, it could go either way.
Comparable, yeah.
You're going to own the thing. Yeah. Like, this is an investment. That is the word that we use. This is an investment. And when you have rent, you can kiss it goodbye. And hey, if it's $100 more to own it, that's a no-brainer to me. It should be to other people too.
I had a client yesterday saying, exact words, I'm tired of paying for my landlord's boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's exactly right.
Comments continue to come in. Cody Persinger of his brokerage, Real in the Valley, is watching the program, giving you guys a ton of props right now. You have 11 different real estate firms that have interacted with the program right now. Unique real estate firms on the program right now. And I see our heat map that is all over the Commonwealth, into Maryland, into North Carolina, all over Richmond right now. Crozet, Charlottesville watching the program. I want to speak from firsthand perspective. I used to live in the Glenmore neighborhood in Keswick, and a friend of my wife's had a fantastic Stanley Martin home, and this is one of the bigger homes, probably in the neighborhood of 5,000 to 6,000 square feet. And the quality of this house, the finishes, the fixtures, the layout was just top flight. So I think what you guys have done extremely well is that entire spectrum of housing type, from the townhome to the rancher to the 5-bedroom, 4.5 that's on a basement that's finished. Like you guys, the company has the talent to execute on all those, which I found impressive. I'm curious, and it's a question for both of you, has the tempo of traffic into the models and into the communities upticked? Is it flat? If you can compare and contrast it to, say, maybe year over year last year, rates have certainly gone down. I also think we're in a marketplace where the consumer is realizing that this rate environment is going to be around here for a while. There was this mindset maybe 12 months ago, 18 months ago, where folks were on the sidelines, hey, maybe they're going to drop. I think that mindset is now in the rear view, and now consumers and buyers are much more forward-looking. Anywhere you guys want to go on that?
Isn't the saying, marry the house, date the rate, right?
Absolutely.
So I think people, thanks to this podcast, thanks to a lot of things, have the information at hand of when you hear people say that have been successful in the real estate space, well, I can do that too. So I've seen an uptick of people that, their parents give them sound advice. They've heard sound advice from people like you guys. So I've certainly seen that. In recent months, an uptick. I think the general sentiment of rates has driven people to the model homes as well.
Yeah, and I think, like any marketing, right? Like if you open your email and you see something you're really interested in, and you see, the price of this car went down, right? Similar to the price of rates or the interest rates going down, that ultimately will bring individuals off the sidelines. So with that news really prevalent just out in front of people's faces, we definitely have seen an uptick in traffic coming through our doors because of
we've
that.
been the lowest we've been in years. I think it's the last 3 years.
Yeah.
From a math perspective, it's not moving the needle terribly much.
Right.
But it's a psychological needle, right?
Absolutely.
That's what makes the difference. I think you're going to start seeing, and we're going to have a couple loan officers come on at the end of this month. I think you're going to start seeing, the mortgage rates bounce between a high 5 and a low 6. It's not going to be a huge spread, but it's going to be bouncing back and forth, and that's just going to get people off the couch and start looking at it. These two young first-time home buyers, that's exactly what it was, right? I'm tired of paying rent. I want to get in the game.
Yeah.
And they're in their late 30s, so we're getting close.
Yeah.
Comments continue to come in. I'll get to the comments. I have a few of my own here. Can you put into perspective, and this is one for Jimmy here, it seems like the new development upside potentially maybe for Albemarle is maybe at its ceiling. Curious of your thoughts on that. Curious of where maybe the new development may happen in Central Virginia. It certainly seems like the Shenandoah Valley, Augusta, Rockingham, the Waynesboro area is extremely ripe with development. And there's this biotechnology beltway that's being built. Eli Lilly, $5 billion and change being invested in Goochland County, $4.5 billion invested in northern Albemarle County by AstraZeneca, billions invested in Augusta with Merck, and the former governor Youngkin talking about the Beltway connecting all these jurisdictions together. That's going to yield a boatload of new jobs. You guys mentioned Northrop Grumman coming to the Waynesboro area as well with the factory. Can you just talk of where you think the development is heading, how it applies to Albemarle, and how it applies to the other side of the mountain?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We get that all the time. That's a major question that I get, Gunnar gets, everybody in the industry gets, right, from every builder. But, my thoughts are kind of what you alluded to, right? Like, I think, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, that, land is the hot commodity. In Albemarle, land is ever, shrinking, right? So I think it's going to hit its cap. I don't necessarily think it's at its cap right now, but it's just harder to find those land deals for new construction that make financial sense. So when, any builder goes in to look at a land deal, they say, what's the cost? What's the average cost of the lot? That directly correlates to the end purchase price in a sense. And if that doesn't make sense, then the land deal doesn't make sense. We're seeing a little bit of that in Albemarle County just because of the cost of the land itself. But that's kind of why we are pivoting to, Greene County and the outskirts, right? The land's a little bit less expensive. The land deals make more sense. So I think we're going to see the new construction industry in a whole kind of go towards the outskirts of all those, metro areas, those bigger areas, right? So like the Goochland areas that are on the perimeter of Richmond, there's a reason those big companies are buying land out there because it makes sense, business-wise.
They've done their homework.
Exactly. They've done their homework, right? And I think for us specifically in, Albemarle, we see that transition happening where, some bigger builders are going into the valley on the other side of the hill, right? Because of those reasons, the land costs, the development
And then the
costs.
second side to that, and I've been preaching this for years, is red tape into green tape. Some of these
Yes.
jurisdictions are a little bit red tape. And I'm being kind by using the word little bit,
Yeah.
red tape heavy, which, according to the National Home Builders Association, 25% of all new construction is due to red tape, regulatory things. So if you can tweak that a little bit, you can try to get the numbers down. But you're spot on. I've been saying this for years. I track what the national builders do. They've got their pulse on the market better than anybody does. And that's what I keep a close eye on, because as they're moving their product type and where they're looking to go, they're generally ahead of the curve of the market, and you want to go ahead and track that. Gunnar, you want to add anything?
Like you said, when big companies are investing that much and they have done their homework and then some, and then have the resources to do really good due diligence on those processes. So yeah, it's nice when other people kind of do the homework for you. You make your own judgment on what they've already decided to put their money where their mouth is and their research is. So yeah, I see a lot of people just following suit with that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about this, guys, and the viewers, and Jimmy and Gunnar absolutely know this, Keith knows this, but the viewers and listeners, I want you to consider this. Merck is investing $3 billion into a pharmaceutical manufacturing facility. $3 billion, ladies and gentlemen, which is going to create 500 jobs in Rockingham County. $4.5 billion is being invested by AstraZeneca in Northern Albemarle. So that's 3 and 4.5. We're at $7.5 billion. The AstraZeneca is 600 jobs. 600 plus 500 is 1,100. Eli Lilly is investing the most, and I'm going to have to Google this to get the exact number. Eli Lilly, we looked this up yesterday, $5 billion in Goochland County and 650 jobs. I mean, you guys are better at math than I am. 650 jobs, 600 jobs, that's 1,250 plus the other 500 is 1,750 new jobs plus $5 billion, $4.5 billion, and $5 billion. We're talking nearly $15 billion being invested in the next 24 months within
And what is going to
60
be
miles
that?
of each other?
And the average income is going to
Be all six figures.
multiple
Yeah,
six figures.
multiple six figures. I
on
mean,
that
this
end.
market is just absolutely on fire on both sides of the mountain. This is a comment that you guys will appreciate from Angie Shoup. She says, I just closed on a Stanley Martin one level at Essence at Creekside earlier this month. They were awesome to deal with, and purchasers are extremely happy. GW is your biggest fan over here. He says Gunnar Cook is fantastic. The future of the business. Gunnar Cook over there. GW giving you some love right there.
He was always great, so I'll tell you a little story. We were
He
playing.
also sent me a friend request, so I feel special here. GW,
we,
thank you.
we were playing storage draft in a playoff baseball game, and it was going well.
Oh, look,
for me,
we're out of
but I-
time.
but I balked, and he walks out and he said, "If you balk one more time," so he's the biggest encourager. That's the only time he really got on me. But going back to that $15 billion investment, I'm so glad you did the math. I was just going to say that's a lot.
Yeah.
So like you said, it goes to if these companies that are in pharmaceuticals that have, as much money as anybody, do that research, we're going to follow suit when
So
you're
you
smaller.
follow that, you follow
Yeah.
your national, regional builders, and then you start, 1 and 1 starts equaling 2.
Yeah.
This is not the time to talk about this, but I did a post this morning. There's 3 bills going through the Congress, through the Virginia Senate right now, in the House and legislature.
General Assembly.
General Assembly,
Yeah.
thank you. That's the reason why
There you
we
go.
do this. General Assembly, that won't move the needle today, but will move the needle a little bit longer as far as availability, if it gets passed as they're currently written on it. And we'll talk about this on a future show when we bring in some local county board of supervisors to talk about it. So all this stuff is starting to stack up a little bit. And, like I said earlier, I follow you guys and other national stuff pretty closely, and then what Jerry is listing. And I think you're going to start seeing the inventory needle, new inventory needle, moving. It's a 5 to 10 year needles move, right? Because this business is very long term on it. But I think it's starting to go in the right direction.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good point. When you think about it from a new construction point too, it takes multiple years to get a land deal done. So over the next 5 to 10 years, we're not sure how many land deals are going to get done and where they're going to get to. So those timelines kind of match up with each other. And one point I wanted to hit on before we kind of pivot to that was, along with a lot of the businesses that are coming to the area, we've seen a lot of relocation happening in our area too. From Florida, from North Carolina, from really everywhere, but a lot of it's coming from Northern Virginia and DC because of how expensive the market is up there, right? So we've seen
And the ability to work from a ISP, digital nomads.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's great. So thank you for bringing that up. It's
Yeah.
on my notes. We unfortunately can't track this
Yeah.
in our Paragon and our
These
systems
guys
here,
can.
but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
So where are you seeing the mostly coming from? And maybe high level, what does the demographics kind of look like? Is it my age? Is it a little bit younger?
Yeah, no, I mean, most of our business is local, right? Meaning wherever we're building at, that's where we consider local. So for us, it's obviously Charlottesville, Albemarle, and the surrounding area. But we do get a big portion of our business, percentage-wise, I wouldn't be able to put it one right off the top of my head, but just at Pleasant Green, for example, like we've had multiple people relocate from multiple different areas that are 100 miles-ish away, right? And the buyer profiles are, from, move up, first-time home buyers all the way to kind of those downsizers, right? A lot of individuals that we're seeing that are moving from that Northern Virginia, DC are the downsizers,
Well, that's to Gunner's point, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I would say in the fall, I kind of had a string of sales where it was kind of young couples moving from Northern Virginia that had to maybe be in the office 1 day a week.
Yep.
And it just made sense for them to start their life in the Charlottesville area of, hey, I can make that drive to at least own something. Because if we stay where we are, we're going to be renters for a long, long time. So they've made that decision, but it was definitely the fall of young couples starting life together. Well, part of that is putting your roots down, owning something, starting a family, this is a great place to do that.
Yeah, I think the allure too is the area there specifically. Like you have the mountains, you have quick access to Waynesboro, quick access to Charlottesville. You've got wineries, breweries there. So I think a lot of individuals are seeing those, those commodities that attract them, and then they see the price, and then they start to see in their mind the lifestyle that they can build, and then Gunner helps connect the dots for affordability when on the sales floor, and then magic happens.
100%. It's an amenity-rich community and region that we live within. And another aspect, and this could be, I think, another tailwind for your business, another positive, is the Charlottesville-Albemarle Regional Airport is on the cusp of brokering a deal with direct flights with Boston.
Nice.
And Boston is the epicenter of biotechnology, financing, and frontline work. And what they're trying to do is connect Boston to Charlottesville, Albemarle, and the Valley with this flight, which would just further drive more traffic and potentially allow Bostonians and who are very deep pocketed to live here, hop a flight to Boston while maintaining a lower quality of life or a higher quality of life, but a more affordable quality of life here. Go ahead, Keith.
So back on the market, where the market's going, and I just did some quick math here. So from year to date, you are at 33 new construction units in Greene County that are either closed or in the pending, which usually when you're in pending and new construction is going to close. It very rarely falls apart. But it's interesting, the existing versus the new construction spread is much tighter. We are now just the first, month and a half, a little bit more. The existing median sales price is $399, new construction's $409. So it's gotten tighter. It went from a $399 to $441 spread at the end of 2025. So that's what's happening as you're getting more inventory. Your products is getting a little bit tighter. I do have a transactional question to ask, but I want to see if Jerry had any.
No, go ahead, yeah.
We hear on the practitioner side, and I just want to get this on the table and get this rumor off, that the buyer is not allowed to get a home inspection. Can you please let people know that they do?
Yeah, you could probably tell by my reaction
Yeah.
there that is absolutely not the truth, right?
And talk about how that works.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to loop every builder into this or single anybody
Let's just
out.
talk about Stanley Martin. How you handle it.
Yep. But I think some people are hesitant to let inspectors see behind the door. Where Stanley Martin, we are just open, right? We're confident. We know what we build. We know our process. We know our quality. That's why we are able to offer what we offer and help as many people out as that we can, right? So we are always open to home inspectors. There is a little rigidity to that where, we want to make sure that if a home inspector is brought in and they want to do an HVAC inspection or plumbing, that rough-in inspection or even a final inspection, that house is, at that point, we've done our own internal inspections, checked off all the boxes before we let them in there, just so we're all talking the same language. As far as process goes, it's really when, our, neighborhood sales managers meet with individuals, go through the contract process, sign the dotted line, do the earnest money deposit. At that point, we have a really deep discussion on, are you going to use a home inspector?
Then you have a list, right?
We have a list of individuals that we work with, absolutely, but we're not limited to that list,
Good.
if that makes
Good to
sense.
hear.
So we're open to really any inspector that we want to, that a customer wants to use.
So going to talk about the pre-drywall inspection process.
Yeah, so I was going to touch on, it's always advised to do your pre-drywall, then you do when your final walkthrough before you move in, and then also a 10-month inspection. At the beginning of this, we talked about our warranties. Well, we have a 1 year, which is basically, to sum it up, a bumper to bumper. Go ahead and do a 10-month, and I know some inspectors that have a package deal of we stand by our product, and we want you to love where you live, because if you do that, it's going to lend ourselves to more business, more happy customers. So we don't push for just the pre-drywall. I know when you come in, I say, hey, do a 10-month too, of do all your due diligence when everything's paid for. Because like Jimmy said, we stand by our products and we want to get it right.
So as a practitioner, I'm talking to my home inspector that's going to do a Stanley Martin new construction unit, and I'm going to ask them to give us a price for 3 inspections, right? Pre-drywall, final, then 10 months. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it's prudent to do that. And I've seen
agree.
inspectors that haven't done that in the past have started to have that package deal. And I think it's a win-win all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done enough of them with you guys and never had a problem. We send a list. You got your field guys get it knocked out. We usually get an email back saying this is done. There's pictures of them of all the work, and it gets sent off to the client and the inspector, and then we do a final walkthrough. The 10-month thing is new. That's something we're going to start incorporating.
That's a great idea.
So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, it's also a new profit center for the inspector to drive more deal flow for his or her business. I think that's a great idea. This comment's coming in. This one's from Short Pump, Richmond area. Can they speak about green and energy efficiency? That's important to my husband and I. Green and energy efficiency with their product types.
Yeah, I think, specifics to green and energy, it's really taking a look at how we make it more energy efficient first and what products are out there and pairing that with our build process. Some of that goes into like energy efficient windows, the difference in insulation in different areas in the house, right? Because your attic's going to be insulated different than your walls are. And just new construction standards in general, making sure the house is tight, breathable, but also, the new HVAC systems, the new plumbing systems, they're all new, so they're all going to be energy efficient. A really just easy example is like a smart thermostat that's in the home that's programmable, right? I know a lot of people probably have those nowadays, but those, you can go in, program the settings and say, if it's warm out, then I want to kick on the AC at this exact temperature. Where previously those weren't available. That's just a really small example on the scope, but
So a great tool, and you've guys done this before for some of my clients that were interested in, and you walked a client through a home that's pre-drywall and pointed out, okay, our bands are foamed, yada, 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 sealed ducts working, and pointed everything out. So I would encourage whoever this is to go take a look at whatever sales model they're looking to do and ask to walk through a pre-there.
Yeah,
By the way, my daughter graduated in 2018. I just got
There we go.
There you
Thank
go.
you very much. You're a phenomenal father.
Yeah.
Keith
Well,
Smith.
am I phenomenal? Thank you.
I think
I
with-
know I'm done paying for it. That's all.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's all
as
that
soon as that
matters.
is in the rear view. I think with that green stuff too, I know we kind of keep tabs on the process once you've bought a home with us of sending you calls or text messages of, hey, this is the stage that it's in. So you kind of have a time lapse of your home. One thing I always point out is our construction manager, Lenny, out in Pleasant Green. He's got an orange foam can. So if you have a light leak, not only do we do our check the boxes, he really comes over the homes goes the extra step of eyeballing stuff. What you catch stuff that sometimes you won't catch by just checking a box. So we go the extra mile to stay green, to stay efficient. So much so we have a fresh air intake
That's what I was
system.
about to say. The homes are so tight, you actually have to bring in fresh air.
Yeah, I would just think, I explain it to people of, if you're driving and you're just recirculating your air in your cabin, you don't want that. And you definitely don't want it in your home either. So we always point that out. April Air is the product that we use, that fresh air intake system. So we have to do it because of how green we are.
And I know you guys can have this conversation with the buyer at the table, but something to look at from an efficiency perspective and actually how much it costs to live in the home versus something that is built in the 80s or whatever particular year. There is a value there. It's not a mortgage value, but there is a long-term value in living in your home where your electricity bills are less, your water bills are less because you have high efficiency valves and faucets and toilets and stuff like that.
exactly, yeah.
Guys, the show is awesome. Hour and 10 minutes in. As we close the show and wind down with Judah giving me the thumbs up over there, why don't we offer an opportunity to Jimmy and Gunnar to offer closing thoughts on anything Stanley Martin related, Charlottesville related, Almar related, Central Virginia related. Got a lot of people watching the program now.
Yeah. I think it's the sentiment that we've been talking to, right? It's, we stay in tune with the market. We want to build, quality homes at a price that everybody can afford. And to be able to just stay within the market, meet the market where it is. And really, we're just in tune with the customer base, the agent base that's out there. It's very prevalent how many agencies are on right now listening to us. Gunnar and I have a lot of good relationships in the industry with, different agencies, different brokerages, but just really staying in tune with everybody. And just to let everybody know that, we're not the scary salespeople. We really are here to help. We really do care about, our agents, our team members, the customers that come through our door. We really want to make sure their life, the quality of their life is improved when we end our, process with them at the end of the day. So
Yeah, and I'll take it from him of not being the scary salesperson as far as my advice is buy real estate.
Yeah.
Be it it's with us or not, I think it's a smart investment. I think when you come to see us, my job is to give you the information. Hopefully it makes sense with us. For a lot of people it does. I think if you really think about it, it does. There's my little sales pitch. But buy real estate because it is an investment if you're just starting. It's a way to build wealth. That's why these people from Northern Virginia are making that drive. to come down here because, hey, this is a start. This is an investment. Build wealth, plan for the future. Future you will thank you for doing it. Even if it takes being a little uncomfortable and not, if you've been a renter for a long time, kind of look in the mirror of, hey, how much money have I paid for somebody else's? And like you said, somebody's boat.
Yeah.
Time to save up for your own boat if you want that. So I think
go.
with us, our products make sense. We have the whole gamut, like we talked about earlier in the show, of whatever you want. We probably have a box to check, but buy real estate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well done. You just showed off your MBA.
Yeah.
Nice
That's
job,
right.
guys.
There you
You
go.
guys crushed
Yeah.
this. I
Nice
mean,
job.
this was fantastic.
We're way over. I just want to say thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys, for
I'm
having us.
passionate about housing, specifically new construction, so thanks for showing up, guys, and have yourself a good weekend. Go sell some houses.
Yeah, we are. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Jerry.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. Judah Wicker, give you props. Thank you. Gentlemen, I think the show is fantastic. The viewers and listeners that are asking, the show is archived anywhere you get your social media and podcasting content. I think you should give a preview of what you have in store for Real Talk with Keith Smith.
Yeah, so the third Friday of March, I've got Ned Galloway coming in, Tony O'Brien coming in, Jesse Rutherford coming in, and help me out, I lost the fourth name. No, that's the three names coming in. We're going to be talking about housing. We're going to be talking about local politics, and this is going to be a time for you to go ahead and get your questions out there. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The I Love CVille show, guys, is up at 12:30. We appreciate the viewership and the listenership. You see what we're trying to do here. It's just long-form content about the community where you, the viewer and listener, can ask people that are experts questions that are on your mind. That's the whole premise of the network. We will see you in approximately 1 hour on the I Love CVille show. So long.
Thanks, everybody.
Nicely done.
I told you that was going to buzz by.
Yeah, it did.